Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jules, and in this video, I'm going to break down for you why weight loss stalls or plateaus happen and what we can do about them. So the reasons why they happen, and there are many reasons, and then all of the tools, the triggers, and the things that we can do to try to break through those stalls to get back on our weight loss journey. I have plenty of experience with stalling out and plateauing. Unfortunately, weight loss is not a linear line. You're not going downhill, just like life is just not linear. There are going to be bumps in the road, and it is a journey. But I think that if we look at it as an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, then in the long term, when it comes to maintenance, it's going to make that a little bit easier. I've been in maintenance now for over a year. I've lost over 50 pounds. I've gained muscle. I've gained strength. And I'm learning to navigate the maintenance journey as well. And I look back and I understand how important all those lessons were along the way, losing the weight, getting through those stalls, as frustrating as they are. So, here are some of the top reasons why you are stalling or plateauing. And I get it. It's super frustrating. You're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. You step on the scale and it says the same number. And then maybe week 2, it says the same number. And you kind of feel like all this effort and energy and mental and physical effort that you're putting in, and nothing is happening and nothing is changing. What more can you do? All right, so let's talk about why you would stall after losing a good amount of weight and nothing is happening. Okay, so one of the first things that happens, it's called metabolic adaptation. So as you're losing weight and you're decreasing your body size, you are going to be eating less calories to maintain that same weight. So you're not going to be able to eat the same amount. So once you start losing a pretty good amount of weight, you may have to decrease your calories a little bit because your metabolism will adapt. So that is one of the reasons. Another reason is if you're losing muscle, your metabolism will definitely go down because muscle is highly metabolically active, which means you're going to burn more calories at rest when you're sleeping and whatnot, just doing, sitting on the couch, watching TV, whatever. And when you lose muscle through severe caloric deprivation or restriction, and you're not doing anything to build the muscle, you're going to lose the muscle. So that definitely can be another reason why you would be stalling. You could also have water fluctuations, so that could disguise the weight loss. So you may actually be losing body fat, but somehow holding on to fluids or water, which makes it look like the scale isn't moving. So that's another reason. Hormonal changes. So as you're losing weight, there are changes to your leptin and your ghrelin. Those are your appetite and satiety hormones. And when those change and you end up, you could be hungrier, you might not know those cues again, and those definitely play a part in maybe you're eating a little bit more because you're hungrier, and that definitely can happen. You might not realize how much you are eating. So if you're not religiously tracking what you're eating and weighing what you're eating, and you're just trying to eat intuitively, you may want to start tracking, because that will be an eye-opener as to the volume of your food. I know it was for me. I wasn't tracking for a little bit, and once I started to track my food, well, first of all, having to write it down or put it into an app, it made me more accountable. I was like, oh, do I really want to eat this if I have to write it down? So writing down definitely makes you more accountable, but it really is an insight into exactly how much you're eating. I thought I was having healthy salads, but putting on dried fruit and cheese and all the salad dressing, that literally was a 500 or 600 calorie swing. And once I realized that, I could still have them, but in smaller portions. And I actually cut out the dried fruit because it really was pointless. I think for me, it wasn't something, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And it's a lot of sugar and a lot of extra calories. So I would rather have my calories somewhere else. But that was a real eye-opener. A tablespoon of peanut butter, you'd be surprised at what an actual tablespoon is, because I know for me, I was putting a tablespoon down, but it was probably more like 2 tablespoons. And before you know it, you're eating, 200, 500 calories more than you think you're eating. So as long as tracking doesn't trigger you for any reason, I definitely recommend at least tracking for a week or two to really make yourself aware of how much you're eating. That was my intent going in for tracking, and I'm still tracking my food. I think it's easy. It still keeps me accountable. I enjoy it. I don't know. It's just something that's become a habit for me now, and maybe it will be for you as well. I think it's a good idea. Okay, another factor that weighs into stalling is diet fatigue. You're just tired of dieting. You're just tired of the restriction. Or maybe you're hungry. I mean, look, being on a GLP-1 does not completely take away the hunger, nor should it. I was always hungry on it. Very few and far between. Did I get full a little bit quicker? Yes. Was I able to pay more attention to my appetite and especially my satiety hormone, so I felt full a little quicker, and it was a little more definite. It was more like, okay, I'm definitely full now, whereas before I never really had that. Absolutely, it definitely helped with that. But it never, ever completely took away my hunger for me. I know for some of you it does, but for me it never did. So just getting tired of that diet could be a factor as well. And then the exercise. If you're working out, your body will adapt at some point to your workout, to your exercise. If you're accustomed to, taking 5,000 steps a day, your body will adapt to that. So then you have to kind of adjust something. You got to, change it up. So let's talk about what we can do. If those are some of the factors, well, how do you get over a stall? How do you get that scale to move again? And you want to start dropping that body fat. Okay, this was a lesson that I learned, and it took me a long time to learn it, so I'm hoping that it doesn't take you as long. I hit a few stalls, but my longest stall was 4 months. And I was very low calorie. I was doing everything, the workouts, cardio, strength training, Whole Foods, the whole 9 yards. Could not budge the scale for 4 months. That is when I also switched over from the highest dose of Wegovy, and I did switch over to Mounjaro or tirzepatide, and that helped. But the other part that really helped was I reverse dieted. So what does that mean? It means that I slowly increased my calories until I got to a point where I was still maintaining my weight, but now I was eating more of the same foods. So I didn't throw in anything crazy. I wasn't throwing in desserts or anything like that. I just ate more, maybe more rice, more chicken, more of whatever it was. So I went from eating, for me, 1,200 calories. Keep in mind, I'm only 5'1", so I can get away with that a little bit more than some people. But I was eating 1,200 calories, and I slowly increased my calories until I got to about 1,800, 2,000 calories. And I maybe had put on a couple pounds, but that's not bad. Could have been water weight as well. Could have been more food in my stomach. Again, if for every carb you eat, you attract about 3 grams of water. So that's water weight that's going into your muscle, not bloat water. So it could have been from that as well. And when I got to the 1,800 or so calories at that point, that's when I was able to cut my calories again. So I was able to cut them down to 1,300, 1,400 calories, and I started losing again. And what a great feeling that is to be able to kind of control that. What it does require is a lot of patience, and you got to trust yourself and you have to trust your body. It seems counterintuitive because you want to continue your weight loss journey and you want it to just go downhill from there. But sometimes you kind of have to do something that is opposite of what you think to really get it going again. Now, during the time that I was increasing my calories and getting up to a higher point, what I focused on was getting in more strength training, heavier weights, so that I would build more muscle during that time. Because the more muscle you have, the more your metabolism is going to rev and get going. So I was able to build some muscle, get my calories higher, then lower them, and the weight started to come back off again. Now, if you're also at the final portion of your weight loss, it's going to go slower than in the beginning. So, for example, the last 10 pounds was excruciatingly slow for me, and it took probably as long as the first 40. It was so slow, and it required so much patience and diligence and me telling myself, just keep consistency going, because if you are going to be consistent, you're going to win. That's the end of it. You're going to win if you become consistent at what you're doing. The other big factor is sleep. I forgot to mention that one. If you are not getting consistent quality sleep, even if you're doing everything else right, that could really throw you off. One bad night of sleep raises your appetite, and it also makes you more insulin resistant. And that's one night. And studies have shown that. Never mind if you're not sleeping well night after night after night. So really try and prioritize your sleep quality, your bedtime activities, getting to bed at the same time every night. As I've gotten older, I've really come to realize how important sleep is and how much I cherish my sleep and the sleep quality and how it makes me feel. I know when I don't sleep well, I'm definitely hungrier the next day. My appetite's up and I am looking for carbs. Okay, something else that you could do to break your stall would be carb cycling or calorie cycling. So this means that what you can do, and I've done this before on some other stalls that I've had where I've stalled out for a few weeks, is to implement some higher calorie or higher carb days. So what that would look like is if you're normally, let's say, eating 1,500 calories and that is your deficit, maybe you throw in a couple of days where you're at 1,800 or even 2,000 calories of the same foods that you're eating, the good quality foods, and then you go back down again. And sometimes that kind of like stokes the metabolism again, and it gets your body from adapting to that low level because now it's feeling safe, it's getting more food in, and then when you switch back down to lower, then it starts to drop the body fat. Okay, so it's really important to be able to calorie cycle, carb cycle, look at your diet and your nutrition to see if there's any sneaky calories that are getting in there that you didn't realize. Make sure that you are staying active. If your activity level has changed, that could also be something that is causing the stall. If you're normally used to walking 10,000 steps a day and then all of a sudden you find that you're at 2,000, that could potentially do it as well. Lifting weights. You know, I'm a big advocate of lifting weights and creating more muscle, and the fact that it's a lot easier to do on these GLP-1s, I think makes it even that much more exciting to lift weights, knowing that there's going to be a greater payoff with that, and your muscle recovery is even greater, and it's easier to build the muscle. So get those weights in at least a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, and make sure that you are stimulating the muscle to fatigue or close to it, and you will see the metabolism start to skyrocket. Whatever you do, make it sustainable, because you have to look at this as long-term. Whatever you're doing is going to be the rest of your life. Now, whatever calories you end up at, you're going to want to reverse that and get them higher so that it will be long-term. sustainable way to eat. Oh, and the other factor I've heard, it's never worked for me, but sometimes changing your injection site can help to reignite something in you. So if you're normally injecting into your stomach, try your thigh or your arm. For some people, that works. Unfortunately, it never worked for me. I tried my arms, I tried my thighs. It felt like water. Like I felt nothing. Tried it a few times. I heard other people success with that, and I thought, all right, maybe that'll work for me too. Unfortunately, it never worked. I always do my stomach. That just seems to be a better result for me, but it can't hurt to try it. Worst case, nothing happens like me. Best case scenario, it triggers something in your body, the receptors or whatnot, and that could help get the GLP, reignited back in your system. You also might need to titrate up. So if you're at a low dose, you may need to titrate up as well. So that is the other area in which you could help to break your stall. If you like this video, I would love for you to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what's worked for you. How have you broken your stall? What are some of the advice or recommendations that you might have for other people? And if you're looking for more support and you're looking for more community, I would love for you to join my private Facebook group at JulsWellnessWarrior. And I will see you in my next video. Stay strong.